Hey, what's up, guys? Hope you all are having a great day. Today, I just want to talk a little bit about Psalms 86:16, and what that says is, "O turn to me, and have mercy upon me. Give thy strength unto thy servant, and save the son of thine handmaid." Um, so obviously, this comes out of Psalms. So we're talking about David's prayer to God here, and it goes along really well with what we've been talking about last week, and kind of overarching that into what we talked about Wednesday night and Sunday, which is our dependence on grace to live the life that God calls us to live. And David here, he gives us a model throughout the Psalms where he's constantly praying for grace and mercy, and just every day he's asking for the ability to live out his life in faith and under grace. So I just want to look at a couple examples that we see in Psalms that match up with this idea of daily grace and in every kind of situation that we need it. For example, this first one here from 86:16, when you're weak, give your strength to your servant. When we don't feel like we have the strength to do things on our own, when we're feeling weak, we need grace and mercy from God to have that strength. When we need help, Psalm 30:10 says, "Hear, O Lord, and be merciful to me. O Lord, be my helper." There's sometimes there's things we can't do on our own. Even with the strength, it's just we need God to be there with us to help us accomplish something. When we need healing, and whether that's physical healing or emotional healing or anything like that, Psalm 6:2 says, "Be gracious to me, O Lord, for I am languishing. Heal me, O Lord." When we're attacked by our enemies or persecuted by people around us, Psalm 9:13 says, "Be gracious to me, O Lord. See my affliction from those who hate me." We need grace to be able to handle that kind of situation. When you're lonely, when you just feel like you're the only one going through something, there's just no one around there to be with you. Psalm 25:16 says, "Turn to me and be gracious to me, for I am lonely and afflicted." And even David, a man after God's own heart, who did all of these great things in God's name and God loved, he went through times where he felt like he was alone, and he had a hard time with that, and he prayed for grace to overcome that situation. When you're grieving, if your heart's heavy about something, or you're going through a struggle in your life, Psalm 31:9 says, "Be gracious to me, O Lord, for I am in distress. My eye is wasted from grief." He's been crying so much, and that he's exhausted. He's distressed because of the things that he's going through in his life. When we've sinned, when we've done something wrong, we know we've done something wrong. Of course, forgiveness is important, but the second part of that is also God's grace. And he says in Psalm 41:4, "O Lord, be gracious to me. Heal me, for I have sinned against you." Just that an admission of guilt and asking for grace to cover that. It's this healing process, like he says, and it's a necessary process in our lives. And then lastly, when we long for God's name to be glorified, when we long for the ability to spread his name to the people around us, Psalm 67:1-2 says, "God be gracious to us and bless us, that your way may be known on earth." And that's the end goal of all of this, is that God would be glorified, like we talked about last week. But it's important to remember that this goes along with the rest of those things, and that grace covers everything in our lives. It covers the good and the bad, and we're able to live all of that out under the grace for the glory of God. So undoubtedly, we know that prayer is that link between us and the grace of God, and without that prayer and the promise of future grace, we wouldn't have the ability to follow Christ, to be his disciple on our own. So remember that we're living under the grace, and that grace is sustained by our prayer to God. So just I want to encourage you guys to continue to draw close to God in prayer and in your lives. Just look to Him for the grace and for the ability to live it out. And just hope you guys just keep growing closer and closer to Him every day. And I'll be right there with you. And I hope that we can get through this life together, and that we'll all grow closer in our faith. So I hope you guys have an awesome day, and look forward to seeing you tomorrow.